Hello and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. Today I'm joined by Chris. Chris, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. Good as always.
And I'm also joined by Mark. Mark, how are you, bro?
I'm right. To be fair, like I've been hiding in it. Like I've been hiding. I'm back now in it. Like I've
Mm.
kind of like shaken off the Boatsy defeat. I'm back in it. I'm all right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, big events call for the big cast, and that's why we're all here. We've got a big event this week with, of course, Eubank Jr. taking on Conor Benn finally after what 3 or 4 years, 3 years since they first announced that they were going to fight in October 2022, and with all the controversy going ahead. So of course we had to do a special for him. We have to cover it. As you know, every week we're here, we're covering everything. So make sure before anything, you click subscribe, you like, follow the channel, and also make sure you follow us on Twitter at Ringside Fracas and follow us on Instagram at Ringside Fracas as well. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get straight into it. But before then, we obviously have to talk about what happened in the weekend. Of course, Benn Whittaker took on Liam Cameron for the second time. And after things not really going his way in Saudi Arabia in October, the first time, him getting suplexed off the top rope and then having to feign injury. Well, a lot of people saying feign injury. He's saying it was real. We're not going to say anything beyond that. And then everyone kind of forcing him into this rematch, saying that he couldn't really beat Liam Cameron. He's a fraud. 2 rounds. That's all it took. One right hand. Liam Cameron was shook up, and the refs then stepped in. Whether or not the stoppage was warranted is something we'll also get into. But yeah, loads of backstory when it comes to this fight. Lots of on the line, lots on stake for Benn Whittaker in terms of how they've been pushing him and what they're aiming to achieve, and how he's kind of presented himself to the public and what he's been trying to portray himself as. And he's felt a bit, it's warranted his hype, but also some of the stuff that he's been getting behind the scenes and online isn't warranted, and we'll get into that as well. But the fight itself, I mean, Chris, I'll come to you first. The first fight obviously didn't go the way we expected it to. I mean, he started off well, but then it seemed like the gas tank kind of just dumped, and he couldn't deal with the coming pressure of Liam Cameron. He was slowing down, getting tagged quite a bit. He wasn't moving his head a lot, and then of course the belly flop that happened. Um, how's he look now in this rematch, and how do you think the differences have been?
So I think you just have to give him the credit. He's come out a lot more assertive in the fight. He's come out with a lot more intent. You could see that from the get go. He looked sharper. He looked like he was taking um, his opponent more seriously. So I definitely give him credit on that front for sure. But as we all said, this is a caliber fighter that he should be walking through. Do you know what I mean? It should be, for me, it should have been in the first fight a very convincing, one-sided, unanimous decision victory. That's what I believe, in my opinion. Um, Credit to him. It takes a lot to kind of overcome the pressure that the public put on him. A lot of people picked Cameron to win in the rematch, and he's blown him out in 2 rounds. We could talk about the stoppage and whatnot, but he's blown the guy out in 2 rounds. Um, Liam Cameron wasn't complaining, um, and yeah, I think ultimately he seems to have turned the corner. I think my only thing with Whittaker is he seems to rely a lot on his emotions to perform. Um, you should be game against any fighter you're fighting. He got overwhelmed in the Liam Cameron fight at certain points, and the tide completely changed. The tide of the fight completely changed. He lost confidence, and he was looking for a way out. He can say what he likes about injuries and what the public are saying. We all know he took a dive in that fight. We all know he could have continued. He took a dive in that fight. Um, but we have to look at the positive side of things. He's always been a very skilled fighter. His power has been called into question. I still don't know if this fight answers the question about how hard he hits. Um, but ultimately, it's a step in the right direction. I think from now he's got to look at, stepping up a level. He's got to start looking at guys like, like your Dan Aziz's, guys of that level before he can get onto, the Boatsies and the Yards. Because I think right now, I don't think he's in a position to deal with those guys mentally. And we discussed in the group chat as well. We're talking about how we feel someone with a strong mentality, a strong mindset, someone who can get in his head, even if they're not better fighter than him, technically would deal with him because of the fact that he relies so much on his confidence and his ability to feel safe in the ring, the ability to rely on his movements, his head movements, his speed. So yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, but I guess he's signed off on the Cameron chapter. He can move off, he can move on onto bigger and better things, and we'll see where he goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the aspect of the whole adversity part that you said, and it's a step in the right direction because going into that, there's a lot of pressure on him. There's always been pressure on him since he came out of the Olympics. With everyone trying to fight for his signing, giving him gifts, and trying to make him basically the next face of their promotion, essentially. And then there's more adversity now because things didn't go your way in the first Liam Cameron fight, and there was so much stuff that you had to take, and you have to take it. That's part of the game, especially the way you present yourself. And I'll come on to that in a bit. But yeah, he came through it and he got the knockout in the performance. Yeah, he looked sharp, like you said. He looked sharp, and that right hand was perfectly well timed. It really did hurt Liam Cameron. I'm not sold on the stoppage. I think that's not Ben Whittaker's fault. That's the ref, Howard Foster. Whether or not you want to call corruption, whatever it is, I'm going to call it, because I don't have proof it's corruption. But I can say that for this as it is, it's incompetency. Liam Cameron, while he was hurt, at no point was he taking unanswered shots. They were all mainly on the gloves, maybe one or two slipped through, but there weren't proper clean shots that were pinging his head off that required you to step in. So, again, and refereeing is something that we've been talking about for quite a while, especially British refereeing, that there needs to be some reform that goes on because people need to be held accountable for bad actions. We have judges and fighters and refs like this that can be incompetent and not get punished for it, and they can continue to be incompetent. So that's one thing that the board has to look at in general, that there needs to be some kind of reform, and it takes away from Ben Whittaker's win, because he probably would have gone on to stop Liam Cameron. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have, but you would have liked to have seen him at least there not been a question mark over that win. There still can be a question mark because of the fact that the ref stepped in early, and no one really knows Liam Cameron's, if he could have recovered from that if had the ref not called the fight there. But look, Ben, like I said, he was sharp early on. We still had to see whether or not after 2 rounds or 3 rounds if his gas tank was ready. This whole switch that people do to different trainers as well, I'm not sold that a trainer always solves your problems. My main thing is the fighter. If there's a certain problem, is it actually the trainer? And it might be, because sometimes certain trainers aren't doing their job properly and it doesn't suit. But sometimes there's an issue that went wrong. Rather than trying to solve it, maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe something I keep doing in sparring or I keep doing in a fight that I need to look at. I'm just going to blame it on the trainer, basically. Even if I don't actually physically say it, I'm mentally basically admitting that it's the trainer's fault. So let me go get someone else involved in, let me go work with someone else, and maybe that is going to change. And when it doesn't change, then you're wondering, well, why didn't things change? Well, because you haven't actually looked at what went wrong. But Andy Lee's a decent trainer. I mean, the whole Kronk style is what they've been going for with Ben Whittaker, keeping it long and keeping him at the end of his punches and proper turning over with that. Like you said, let's see what he's got, because now you've only fought 2 rounds. Got to be active. This year is your first fight. We're in April, so you got to get at least minimum 2 more fights out there, and you got to step up the levels. And in terms of ability, in terms of just pure ability, he's got the talent to go forward. He just doesn't have weight, in my opinion. He just needs to do more mentally, like you say, to just lock in and work on your craft and see what you can do and how you can maximize yourself. But Mark, do you think off of that showing you're encouraged now by Ben Whittaker, or do you still have the same doubts? Mark, you're muted.
You muted, Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I still got the same doubts, especially after like the emotional outburst after, like that is someone that shows that mentally they're not all there. When I say all there, I just mean like they've got resilience. Like they were talking about sort of like the stuff he's been through and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff that he's been through, it's like per se, is stuff that he's sort of allowed to happen in terms of like the build up to the fights and stuff like that. He's been he's presented himself in a way that's quite unlikable. So of course people are gonna go the opposite way in terms of like support and things that they say about him. So when he's talking about stuff like he's been through a lot and whatnot, like he's sort of like, I won't say brought upon himself, but it's sort of like he hasn't helped himself in that manner. So I've still got my doubts about him mentally. And again, I don't feel like 2 rounds is enough to suggest that he's sort of done anything different. Like the fight would have been a lot more interesting had it gone like 4 or 5 rounds, and obviously there would have been questions to answer. But can't take credit away from the stoppage. He did what he had to do. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm just going to go through some of the comments just quickly. Big up the 505, big up guys locked in. Big up the 505's got the 505 watch party. They're going to be watching Eubank Benn, the whole card. Make sure you check out the 505 and buy tickets for a watch party because there's so many people that are going to be there. Boxers, boxing, people involved in the boxing Twitter space, and just people like just go enjoy, buy a ticket and have some fun. Dapper says big up Ringside, big up Dapper. We'll have him back on soon enough. But Ra, evening, gents. I hope I can rely on one of you to call it like it was. Cameron got robbed. I mean, yeah, you know what? I can see the case for that because at the end of the day, I don't think the stoppage was warranted. So that's not really that of much of a left field.
Also, as well, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I just felt like Cameron wasn't really focused. I felt like he won the lottery the first time round and got carried away with sort of like the praise and whatnot. Like the moment like he just kept talking and talking, I said he's lost the second fight. I just knew instantly he lost the second fight. Like he was just I don't know, like he was just so caught up on that moment, like, and it's like we forget like it was a draw. It wasn't as if he won the first fight anyway. Like he was so caught up on like the moral victory. Like I don't think he was that focused.
Yeah, no, I agree. Big up Sam's joined as well. I mean, if it's a Eubank Benn card, we obviously have to get Sam's involved. Sam's, how are you, bro?
Is he frozen?
He might be frozen, yeah.
The emergency opponent. Maybe he's been called up.
Someone's pulled out. He's got to step in. He's got to make weight now. That's why. All right, I'll let him sort that out. I'll come back to him. Yeah. Ra says, yeah, I don't want any more hand-picked opponents. An Olympic silver medalist, 4 years into his pro stage, pro career, needs to be fighting another young, hungry opponent next. I mean, I agree with Ra. Ra kind of commented on our tweet saying that he can't wait to give some snarky comments, but this is not that snarky. I agree. I've been saying this for years about Benn Whittaker. He's really good. We can take like in terms of when he's coming out of the Olympics. Just take the handbrakes off. Stop getting him to fight these Aaron Yekers, these random guys that you're just picking off the street. Get him to fight even Liam Cameron. Look, give him credit for beating Liam Cameron. But when the first fight happened, I was talking about this and I said, this is a guy who's been out of the game for 4 years. He only made his comeback last year. He's a super middleweight. He's not a light heavyweight. He's a super middleweight. He's not that good. His fight with Lyndon Arthur was good, but Lyndon Arthur's Lyndon Arthur. This is a guy that's checked out of the game already himself. And you'll see that Saturday night. And we'll talk about that. It's not the type of opponent you should be clamoring over in your 10th fight, especially with an Olympic silver medalist. And the other guy that we're talking about, that's the guy that he beat, which is Imam Khatayev. He's fighting David Morrell Jr. in July. How come you beat him and he's fighting David Morrell Jr. in July, but you're still fighting the likes of Liam Cameron, Aaron Yekers? Like, this is the problem we have sometimes with boxing is we put the handbrake on too much. We're even doing it with Moses Atama now. They're getting him to fight Mike Balogun, which again, it's not going to do him any favors. Yes, you need to develop him a bit, but you can slowly take the brakes off and just go, let's go straight for it. Especially with someone like Ben Whittaker. He's old enough, he's been around, he can do it. You're just wanting to preserve your product. So there's that. But Stamps, how are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. So I'm a bit later, but I literally would have collapsed if I didn't get something, damn me.
Nah, it's calm, bro. You're training hard. Obviously, you got the fight on Saturday, so like we understand, bro. But yeah, what's your takes on last week's performance from Ben Whittaker?
You know what? Yeah, he nearly convinced me. Yeah, like, when I was gonna like turn around and be like, you know what, hands up. That poor man. Yeah, but like, turn around and hands up. No, he's actually who he says he is, and so forth, so forth. Because like I said from early doors, we followed him from Olympics. He's a very talented guy, and we know like fundamentally and in terms of his actual ability, all the way up there.
Yeah.
Where I pulled the brakes and kind of pulled my stock sides, because I just think mentally he looks like someone that's gonna come apart on at the threads, because he just seems a bit all over the gap. Like he seems like he's in mixed identities. He's not quite sure what angle he wants to go down, whether he wants to be the bad guy, but he's crying because he was the bad guy. And it's like, mate, how do you put on this persona that, you know, you're this flamboyant, loud, brash, and overly that cocky person, then get pulled up, obviously from the first Cameron fight, it not go your way, and then start falling apart over it and making it seem like you had to really overcome something. This was your own. This is your own doing. So that just doesn't quite work for me. If anything, I would have much preferred a case of, I told you lot so, like, don't chat to me. You lot had me confused, and continue that angle. But it just seems like he's trying to be much of everything, like jack of all trades and master of nothing in terms of style, in terms of like personality. And because of it, it just gives me Broner vibes. I can't lie. Like one day you're a rapper, one day you're one day you're anime like nerdy fan, one day you're bust down king, one day you're crying. Like, bro, like you gotta pick one and run with it, man. And first of all, just be you. Like whoever you are from up like Midlands when you were growing up, be that guy. Like all the rest of it, I don't know, man. I feel like you're trying so hard to be a character rather than be yourself. So yeah, and it just comes across weird. It comes across weird. Like even in the face off that he done, I was like, you're not even being a bad guy. Well, you're feeling like this, like the whole egg thing. What are you gonna do? I was like, I don't understand what angle he runs with at all. I just don't get
it. Yeah. I mean, it's like he's trying to be charismatic, but at the same time, it's just not coming off the way he thinks it is.
Yeah.
Father says, so true, Sams. How can this villain be crying? How can he save us if he's bawling?
Mate, it's true.
Hey, his PR is down the dumps, man. I mean,
it's all over the gap, man. He needs to just iron it out. Like what persona do you want to run with?
Yeah.
The whole crying thing, I just didn't get, because I'm like, you have this persona of being boastful, trash talking, and whatnot. Fine. Then you know that it comes with certain, like, people are going to trash talk you back. People are going to give you shit. People always give you shit. You can't cry over that stuff, especially when we're talking about Liam Cameron. You haven't won a title yet. You haven't even won a British title, an English title, a Southern area title. You haven't got any accolades to your name at the moment in the pro game, and you're already bawling your eyes out. It's just,
you got a choir out of Liam Cameron. A whole choir.
And let's not think he actually says stuff like, "Yeah, I'm the A side. They all want to get me." I'm thinking, bro, wait, hold on a second. Who are you? Like, you don't have any stats behind you to be talking like this at all. Like, you're not, like, again, like, it's Liam Cameron. Like, yeah, cool, you put it right. And in terms of actual performance, you can't knock him in. Like, he went and did and reminded us that, he's actually a quality boxer, because that's the first time in a very long time now. In fact, I might even say since the Olympics, we've seen him just box and look good.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's got ability. It's just he's focused too much on the flashy side of things rather than just focusing on his craft. And that's the main thing he needs to be doing, especially in a division like light heavyweights. You've got killers in that division. they're gonna kill you. Like even Kataev, I think if you put him in with Kataev now, and he boxes like he did Aaron Yekosan, he loses that fight because Kataev is like a crapper version of Better Beef. He'll just come forward, swing punches until your arms are broken, and that guy mentally won't be broken. So
even his dad told him to like pull it together. Like his dad couldn't even believe what he was seeing in the ring. He was like, "What the hell? What's wrong with you, boy? If you don't pull up your shorts and stop crying."
And then Dapo says, "Spitting out the opposite corner was disgraceful. I can't stand him now."
I'm sorry. That bit here, I didn't see the spin. I don't see it.
I can't lie to you. Yeah. Initially, I thought it was dribble,
massive. It's giving massive agenda, man. It's giving agenda.
I don't know. Like, just
he thought
about it for sure.
Wes, I don't see any attempt at spitting unless I've missed another camera and someone needs to we need VAR and someone needs to pull up the tapes. But the tapes I saw, that agenda was quite nasty to me personally.
I don't know, man. I feel like the mechanics of when you're spitting with your mouth, it just looked very, very. I'm
gonna stop this conversation because it's going crazy. We're going into pause territory here. I'm not gonna carry on further. This is ringside fracas. It's not pause side fracas. Yeah. This is going crazy. But yeah, I mean, let's see what he does. I mean, let's go through what's one potential opponent you guys think he should fight next. I'm gonna go. I think he should fight. Oh, what's the guy's name who won the British and Commonwealth? He beat Dan Aziz. Well, he didn't really beat Dan Aziz. What's his name now? Lewis Edmondson. Edmondson, that's it. Get those 2 titles. Chris, who do you think?
Yeah, I'll probably stick with Dan Aziz. I think that's it's a decent test for someone who's as boastful as they say he says he is, and he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You've got to be dealing with someone of Dan Aziz's character, and I think it's stylistically good for him because Dan Aziz is like a no-nonsense. He's not natural. I don't believe Dan Aziz is naturally gifted, but I think he's quite tough mentally, and he listens to his coaches. Yeah, I think that'll be a good fight to highlight what he can do, and then he can move on from there. We're tired of waiting, man. We're tired.
The Dapper says he should fight Better Beef. You see, there's Eid coming. And for Eid, what we do is the second Eid. What we do is we take lambs to the slaughter. This was basically what Better Beef is doing for Eid. He's taking a lamb to slaughter, and hey, that's gonna be a sacrifice, man.
He's never fighting any of
them. Mark, who do you think he should fight next?
I've got a couple of names. I was gonna say Ezra Taylor,
That's a decent
or Craig Richards, or Willie Hutchinson.
Yeah, that build-up will be funny because Willie Hutchinson will really get into his head. Like that's where the mental side of things will really play. Because Hutchinson,
any of those 3, I'm all right with.
Yeah, fair enough. Samps, who would you like to see him in with next?
Me personally, I'm gonna throw it out here. Oh, Boatsy.
I'm with that. To be fair. If it means sort of like, if it means like derailing the hype train, why not? I'm with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, I want to see that as in, because my thing is, he's meant to be the special kid. You know what I'm saying? Like he's meant to be this guy. And if you are who you say you are, you can go in there and get in there with a top name like Boatsy, who's just come off a loss. Okay, cool, but if you handle him, then you are who you say you are. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think you necessarily win that, but you called him out and said you'd beat him like a while back. You said, yeah, bring him when he first came over to Boxer. I don't forget that. You said that. So because you're out here crying over Liam Cameron, let's throw in there a real lab dog and see what happens. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, fair enough.
Personally, I would like. I know it's not gonna happen, but that makes for a great entertainment fight, and it's like a very interesting fight because I think you can win or lose, still obviously get on with your career and still move forward, and the hype is still there and so forth, depending on how the fight pans out. I think it's a good real acid test.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, and it's one of those things, like you say, if you're the shit, prove it. So Ross says, how about Dos Santos, Rhea / Bradley Rhea, or Shaq and Pitters, or the Luders of Yard Arthur? So the first two options are decent options, especially at light heavyweight. The problem with those two names is they're not big, and if you're someone in the camp of Ben Whittaker, you're only looking for the names, and you're never going to take the guys that are risky but don't have much name to their value. So the Loser of Yard Arthur, that's a shout.
So basically, Upper.
So yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to put the Loser of Yard Arthur, you just put Arthur, that's it. But yeah, there's a big shots. Look, let's see what he gets up to, because there's a lot riding on. There's a lot on him still in terms of like his shoulders. Sky Boxing is kind of trying to bank on him, Adam Azim as well, even Vidal Riley, who will come on to as well. So let's see what he can kind of deliver. All right, let's go on to the this week's main fight, the fight we're all going to be interested in, the fight we're all watching, the fight one of us is a replacement for. Anyway, we've got obviously Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. I mean, there's so much narrative behind this. There's so much build-up, so much story. This is over 3 years in the making in terms of actually making it, and it's been longer than that because they've always been teasing it about continuing the Eubank Ben rivalry. We're finally here. Hopefully, no mess ups this time on fight week. No drug tests being failed. No clomiphene in any systems. No pregnancy scares in any men. Just the fight, and we get it. Interesting one. 3 years ago, I had a prediction, and I'm going to say it now. I think 3 years ago, had this fight happened in October 2022, even if Ben was on the clomiphene, I think Eubank would have stopped him. I think Eubank would stop him. He's young, he's fresh. He's not young, but he's still in his prime. He was fresh, still looked good, athletic. I think now Eubank has regressed a bit in terms of ability. Ben hasn't gotten any better. That's a fact. But this fight has gotten closer the longer it's gone. But I'm interested to see how it goes. At the end of the day, it's not the best fight in the world. I'll admit this. It's not the best fight. In my opinion, it's one of the most overhyped fights we've got. It's just only there because of name value. In terms of actual value of the fight itself and how good these fighters are, it's not really that big. It's not that good of a fight to watch. But I'm interested. And so, of course, if we're talking about Eubank Ben, we're gonna have to talk to the replacement fighter, the guy that's in camp, making sure he's getting ready for both fighters. So, Sams, tell us how excited you are for this fight and what your thoughts are on this matchup.
So my thoughts did start to waver a little bit more recently, but I'm reverting back to type. So I originally said this fight is stupid, and Eubank will beat him with the weight penalties and whatnot. He wins quite comfortably as long as he's like not completely shot. That was the first fight. At this point, obviously, I started to kind of buy into I guess Eddie Hearn's like marketing machine that talked up Ben to be this world-class fighter, even though he's never had a world-class fight, has never been on a world-class level, but he talks about him saying he's a world-class fighter and he was Eubank, when it's quite the opposite way in terms of whether Eubank's won or lost them or not. He's actually been at that level. Ben just hasn't, like point blank. The size difference is very substantial, and weight class is definitely more. I've been got a good taste of today myself. Like
protect yourself for all times, man.
Yeah, like I genuinely think Eubank is going to have his like wicked way with him, and on top of it, yeah, Ben's very intensive and all the rest of it, and like he powers through, but his last couple fights at 154 have looked horrible, and all this intensity on pads and sparring and whatnot. It's all them good until someone who's that much bigger than you and that much longer than you is actually coming for your neck. Like, and Eubank offensively comes at you is a spiteful man. I just don't see how Ben holds up.
Oh, have we lost him? You there?
No, sir. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
no,
to conclude, he stops him. Like I think he stops him, whether it's late or not. As long as Eubank ain't completely shot, and I don't think he's shot based on his last performance, and I think everyone's kind of like, I don't get why everyone talked it down so badly. I don't think why everyone's talking about it, but I don't know why it's seen. But yeah,
Your connection's cutting out in a bit in between in there. Just try reset and then I'll come back to you on that. Just but yeah, no, I agree in the sense that Eubank should have his way. I mean, this is all favoring him. In fact, it's not 157 anymore. There's no catch weight with this. This is a proper 160 fight. Even though he has been draining himself even to make 160 as well, it's better for him. Benn ideally should be off the clomiphene, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say certain guys still do things. So anyway, Chris, what's your thoughts on how Eubank Benn goes? You're muted.
So yeah, my prediction's been similar to Sam. So from the get-go, I've leaned towards Eubank. I think he's too big, too strong, too experienced for Conor Benn. Conor Benn hasn't shown me anything to make me think that yeah, this could be a problem for Eubank. Yeah, fair enough. You knocked out Chris Algieri, who was he was fighting at 140 at one point. Like, let's be serious. That's the best.
Retired.
And retired shortly after that fight.
He was
He
retired.
was retired before that.
Oh yeah, he was retired. Yeah, he was retired. Yeah, he was actually
He was a
retired.
nutritionist during COVID.
Like, if that's the best caliber of fighter that you fought, a finished Chris Algieri, then I don't know how you would have had the correct experience or preparation for someone of Eubank's size and stature. Do you know what I mean? Conor's been talking about all these sparring stories, fighting these guys, beating up, apparently Denzel Bentley, William Skull. We're hearing everything, but sparring is sparring at the end of the day. When the lights are on you, do you know what I mean? When you're in the middle of that stadium and the lights are really on you, that's where you need the experience. Do you know what I mean? That's where you actually need the experience. And I feel like, just even from like an emotional standpoint, I feel like Chris Eubank is just more settled. He's more assured of himself. I truly don't believe there's something that Conor Benn can show him that he's not seen before. And I feel like that's probably the most important aspect of things. The way the fight actually goes, I can see Conor Benn starting fast. I can see him winning early rounds for sure. He's got decent head movement. He's quick. He's young. Obviously, he's got youth on his side. He's relatively explosive. But when those things stop working, when he's a bit more fatigued, the legs are a bit more tired, and then the fight kind of stabilizes out, I feel like that's where Eubank is really just gonna pot shot him. It's gonna be a case of a unanimous decision or a late stoppage. That's what I can see. I can see there's a reality where Conor Benn sparks him out in 2 rounds. There's a reality that could happen. He could catch him with a shot. We know Eubank is not always the most defensively responsible fighter, so there is a chance that he can get caught, and the size difference isn't enough to mitigate that. If he gets caught clean and flush, he probably will go down. I just think on the likelihood of things, I just don't really see it happening. That's my thing. So I do see Eubank winning the fight.
One thing, just to not counter, but just to play devil's advocate. When you watched the first Eubank Smith fight, did you ever expect Eubank getting knocked out by Smith, or ever imagine him getting hurt that bad by Smith?
No. I didn't. To be honest, I've always seen Eubank as quite tough. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't really see that, but it was more of a case of Eubank being defensively resilient. It wasn't a case of I didn't think Smith didn't have the power to do so. Like we said, but like I said before, like Eubank can get caught, and we also don't know how finished, if he is finished, Eubank is. Even with the weight cut, even though he didn't look too bad, he's not looked too bad this week. You have to remember where he's got to be under 170 the next morning. All of those things play into your mind. They all play into your mind. You're waking up in the morning, you're thinking, am I making weight? It's affecting your sleep. All of those different things. You can't rehydrate the way you want to rehydrate. And then you're trying to rush to rehydrate before the fight in the evening. Those things can affect you. Do you know what I mean? All these little things. And, you know, Eddie knows what he's doing. Eddie knows what he's doing with this stuff.
Are you sure Eddie has a lot of L's when he's trying to pick an opponent for?
No. Not even that. I'm not even saying that he's going to win, but obviously I'm talking about stacking advantages. In terms of,
but let me pose a question. I think Eddie's done a really good job here of like sensationalizing things in our minds. Because even me, when I literally kind of pulled myself back a bit. It was like Benn is this ferocious fighter and the rest of it. Yeah, like we all agree with that. But for all this ferocity, he has like 14 knockouts in like 25 fights. It's not the KO, you know, wrecking ball machine that he's kind of been painted out to be. And again, in his last 2 fights against absolutely no ones, he didn't even put a dent. There's one guy, the last fight he went 12 rounds and he put a dent in him, and he was trying to through hell to level through the kitchen sink and couldn't dent him. Why is it now Eubank, who apart from of course he got stopped, and that's the first time we've ever seen Eubank hurt. Do you know what I mean? Like wobbled. He's been known as a very solid guy. Like he's been known.
He's taking some big shots.
Yeah, he's been known as someone that his chin is formidable until obviously got cracked by Smith. Now, what I'm trying to get is, okay, yeah, he's been stopped there, but Eubank, like Benn's not the big puncher we're trying to make him out to be, for one, in my opinion. Because if he was, he would be doing this against everybody and everybody. There was a period where he was doing so, but unfortunately, that period is now clouded with, you know, the eggs.
But you can also pick apart that period because it's aged, retired fighters,
and that as well. Like, and once the eggs have now come out of the system, he's now back to fighting the guys that go 12 rounds and seeing like he can't punch through a paper cup. Like, I just don't.
I think one thing. I think one thing
that's important as well, yeah. He also hasn't recorded the knockout past the 4th round as well.
Yeah. I think one thing that's important is that the magnitude of the fight, the history of the fight, the animosity between the two fighters is what's been marketed.
Yeah,
that's what's been marketed. Yeah,
but even that, who's had to deal with that bigger scale like stage? Eubank has. Eubank's been there. Like he's actually been there.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there before. He's dealt with, you know, your Billy Joe Saunders. Do you know what I mean?
He's been at the World Series, and so that gets throws. He didn't win it, but he's been there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's taking losses.
Yeah, and these are much bigger guys that didn't stop him. Like in my opinion, this fight comes down to, is Chris Eubank shot?
That's what I think.
If the answer is no, it's a very comfortable win at whatever point however Eubank wants to play it, like do this. He has the ability to easily keep Benn at bay just because of size, like just from the reach and height difference alone. Someone said it was at 6 inches height. Talk less of the reach. That's a madness.
What's the height difference?
6 inches.
No, it's 4 inches.
4 inches. Yes, a lot.
How tall is Conor Benn?
5'8".
5'7", 5'8".
That's a very subjective one. I've got a picture of this guy. He's shorter than me.
No. That's a lie, because I know there's no way Chris Eubank is anything close to 5'11".
I mean, the build height is Eubank is 5'11" and Benn is 5'8". I don't know.
I met Eubank and he's not 5'11". So I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, these heights, he might have been wearing these
Yeah. Might put his B22s on.
Yeah, it probably, who knows, you know what I mean? But I know for sure Chris Eubank is not 5'11".
But yeah, wait, when I saw them at the press awareness day, it looks significant to me. Like, and
Yeah,
just
it does. It does.
bigger framed guy. You get what I'm saying?
I reckon Conor is probably closer to like 5'6", 5'7".
I wouldn't disagree with that.
5'6", yeah.
Mark, how do you think this all goes?
Do you know what? Yeah, Eddie almost convinced me that Conor could do it. Like, almost convinced me. Like, I was just thinking about like Chris's age and sort of like the fact that like he's no longer the same fighter and sort of like how he fights with his hands down and whatnot. And I was just thinking, is there a scenario where Conor could back him up and then clip him, especially with Conor like known to be a fast starter? I was like, you know what, like there could be like a scenario where he gets clipped. But now that I think about it, yeah, I feel like if Conor is to have success, he's gonna have to sort of get close to him. But also at the same time, upon entry, he's probably gonna get caught quite a bit. And Chris Eubank's quite a decent counter puncher as well. So I just feel like Chris will catch him coming in. But I just feel like it's going to be one of two things. If Conor doesn't get him out in the first 3-4 rounds, then I feel like the possibility of a Conor Benn win dramatically decreases. Whereas I feel like Chris can win it anyhow. He can win it on points, or he can stop him late.
Yeah. I think the whole roundtable we're kind of agreed on a Eubank win. I think Conor's going to start out quick. I think there's a possibility, and like you say, the whole factor of whether or not Eubank is shot or not comes down to it. And I think if he can't hold a shot properly, Benn's not a big puncher, but if he can't really hold a shot properly, it doesn't take the biggest punch to put you over. But I think Conor will start quick. And he'll probably win the first 3 or 4 rounds because he's very quick, and Eubank's a bit more reserved with how he fights. He's got his hands down. He can get tagged quite a bit, especially when I watched the Sheremetyev fight, which was on the Bivol undercard. Even in that fight, he didn't look. He wasn't as slick as he normally thought he would. He was getting tagged quite a bit. He beat up Sheremetyev down the stretch, of course, but he didn't look the way he thought he was going to look. And he did look a bit slower. And obviously, when you get to 36, and a lot of your style's predicated on being athletic and being the quicker fighter, leaping in with shots and being able to have your hands down because you can step out and you can leap out of range. The older you get, the slower those margins become, and the easier it is to hit you. And I think after the first 4 rounds, that's when you're going to start to see Eubank get behind his jab, launch uppercuts and hooks when Benn tries to get close, because Benn has to get close to him in order for this. And when he does, Eubank, as we saw in the Smith fight as well, he loves to throw those uppercuts and those hooks, especially low, because he's trying to get that body, he's trying to get you as you're coming in. And I think it will frustrate Benn quite a bit because he's going to keep getting hit as he comes in. And then Benn will have to readjust in the last 4 rounds and try to pick something back because he knows he's losing, or at least he knows that Eubank's got a lot of the momentum there. But I think Benn is strong. I think Benn is tough. He's been dropped by Cedric Payne before, but I think he's strong and tough. I think he's going to get picked off, and he's not going to be able to move out of certain ways. And he's just going to be a bit slower in the later rounds and try to find his shots. I think you're going to see Eubank get a decision win. I think Eubank will get.
I also think like, when I watched the Smith 2 fight, I think what we're now seeing with Eubank is that he's fighting in spots now, so he's not necessarily got the same engine that he did before. So it could be a thing where like, when Conor tries to get close to him, there's loads of clinching, and then Chris gets to work and then clinches again and then uses his size and strength. So I can definitely see a points victory, but I'm just hoping for a knockout.
The problem with Eubank clinching is he's not very smart on the inside when it comes to framing, trying to stop the opponent from separating. And Conor, he's quite small and compact. It's easy for him to break free and just get shots off. So he has to worry about that to limit as many exchanges close as possible. You've got to get those uppercuts getting in. But I mean, it's a tough one in terms of, do I think Benn has a chance? Yes. Am I convinced he's going to win? Probably not. I don't think he is. I've backed Eubank. I backed Eubank a bit lesser than I did 3 years ago, but I still back Eubank to get the job done. I think there'll definitely be a rematch as well, so they'll obviously explore that. And I think it goes to decision. I think Eubank's the type of guy, especially when you watch the Liam Smith fight. Liam Smith fight mainly came down to the stoppage, came down to the fact that Liam Smith was so fat, he rolled both his ankles. I mean, that's mainly what the stoppage came from. And the Liam Williams fight, I mean, he let that go on for 12 rounds despite dropping him like however many times in the first 4 rounds. There's a tendency to Eubank to, but he doesn't have to rush his work, and he's not what he used to be. So, Sam's, were you going to say something, or have we lost you?
You know, I think there's an element of that. At that point, he was a bit stuck in styles, then, isn't it? I think now he seems to be more revert to type, whereas that whole Roy Jones era had him moving very, very strange. So I'm quite happy that's obviously been washed out now, and he's trying to do things more aligned to what his mechanics allows him to do, rather than trying to emulate what Roy Jones was trying to get him to do. So I do feel like he's more aligned to him. You're right in terms of he fights in spurts, because I actually forgot about how intense he used to be. If I'll be honest with you, until I watched some, I can't remember what I watched back, but I watched back some of his like clips, and I was like, oh yeah, shame, he used to be a lot more active, isn't it? Rather than fighting in spurts more recently.
It happens, it's age, isn't it? And especially if someone that's athletic, age catches up to you quicker than everyone does. Like 36 is not an old age, obviously. But if if someone that's, you're very athletic, you will feel the age, because you won't be as quick as you are. You won't be as explosive and reactive as you normally used to be. So, Ross says, I agree about Conor Benn. I'm 5'7", and I met him at York Hall, and I say he's my height, maybe slightly less. So there's that debate as well going about. Not only are we thinking about who's going to win, but who's lying about their height. He also says Benn's opponents aren't that bad. I'd say the gap between his best so far and Eubank Jr. is smaller than, for example, Yard's typical opponents and Better BF, who is competitive against. One thing to go against that, though, Yard is a big light heavyweight. Yard is suited to that weight. This is not a weight class he's jumping up to and fighting a top guy. He's suited to that weight class. And Yard fought Kovalev before he fought Better BF. So there is that experience of fighting a top-level opponent, even if he didn't win, still fought a top-level opponent. Even no matter how washed Kovalev was at that point, still a top-level opponent. Benn hasn't fought anyone. I'm trying to think, has he fought anyone with a world ranking yet? I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Well, Chris Van Heerden, did he get world ranking?
No. Van Heerden was retired before. Van Heerden retired, and then he retired after that. And there's something about his.
No, but before he fought Benn, was he like?
I think he was semi-retired.
Because he fought. Did
he fought Boots in that 2020.
Spence. He fought 2019. He fought Spence.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That wasn't any time. That was near. Chris Van Heerden. Let me just check. But Van Heerden was like retired before then, and that was one of the criticisms I had when they made that fight was Van Heerden, and he fought Ennis in 2020, and then 2022 he fought Conor Benn. It's been 2 years, brother. He's retired. And the Ennis fight was a no contest because he had a head clash on the top of his head. That he was retired, man. Even Chris Algier, he's doing podcasts. He was a nutritionist, man. He was making my meal plan.
I forgot he was doing nutrition.
Yeah, he was making my meal plans. He was getting me ready for the gym. So I don't know what Conor Benn wants to get out of being my chef. But anyway, look, it's gonna be a fun fight. I'm intrigued by it because it's one of those ones where it's gone nationwide. I think a lot of the country is going to be tuned into this because it went on Piers Morgan, Good Morning Britain. It's been everywhere. Eubank Senior doing Eubank Senior things has also got people talking, and people are talking about this. So,
mate, there's so much content, surrounding it, and I've been locked in as much as possible, but even I can't keep up. I saw something on Channel 4 yesterday. I was like, yo, there's so much coming out now. The whole nation's gonna get captured, 100%.
Yeah, and Tottenham Stadium is gonna be rocking. This is good for British boxing. The fight itself isn't that great, but it's gotten a stadium fight sold out. The nation's tuned in. These are the type of things that keep the sport healthy. We were talking last week about the state of UK boxing. These are the types of nights that make UK boxing better because you need the whole country talking about certain events like AJ fights, Tyson Fury fights, Kell Brook fights, Amir Khan fights, Carl Froch fights, Hay fights, all of that. You constantly need this influx of stadium fights and big fights. So it's good that we have this going on. But let's move on to the undercard because we've spoken about that quite a bit. The first fight we want to cover, I think we all have a vested interest in this, and we're all excited for this trilogy because we all wanted this trilogy. Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. They do it again for a third time because everyone asked for the third fight, didn't they? Who am I going to come to first? Sam, since you're laughing a lot, what's your take?
You know what pisses me off the most about this year is the fact that Tunde came out, and said, we want anybody, we want First Beer, we want Bivol, we will take them all, even Arthur will take him. Everyone's like, wait, why are you throwing Arthur's name out there? Was it? Oh, I'm sure Arthur was talking about retiring as well. But they kept floating it. They'll throw out, we're looking for anybody. We're trying to get a fight. We want a big fight. Then they'll float the name and they'll float Arthur. I remember there's one day in the group I said they're gonna fight Arthur. They're definitely gonna fight Arthur. They're probably in talks as well. Then when it got announced, I was like, well, we all saw that coming. That bullshit, man. It's actually bullshit. Like at that point, I'm like, I like Yarde, but something needs to give at this point. Like, what are you doing? Like, literally, what are you doing? Like,
there's nothing we haven't seen in the second fight that we need to kind of clear up. This is going to be a rematch of this, a replay of the second fight, if not maybe worse than that, because maybe Yarde doesn't perform as well as he should do. But there's nothing we gain from it. We don't see, but does this answer any questions about Anthony Yarde? Is he going to get a top level win? No, this is the same win you've had before. This is the same level opponent. In fact, this opponent's gone worse as the years gone by. He's just been boiling away on Channel 5, fighting on Wasserman shows and getting beaten up at times by some random South Americans. I'm going to say Argentinians because he is Argentinian. And then even going life and death with Liam Cameron. It doesn't prove anything. And then you have Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith fighting, and at least they put on something good and they both test themselves. And for Joshua Buatsi, that's the biggest name. And okay, he lost, but at least he went through it. He went through the fight and he tried it. You lost that Buatsi fight for now, whether it happens in the future or not. But you've lost that, and they've leapfrogged you. Even if you beat Lyndon Arthur, what does it really do for your career? Where are you going to go? Like, that's the one thing I always remember.
He actually stands to lose more than he stands to gain, because if he looks remotely bad, even if he gets a KO in 4 rounds, but looks like cumbersome in doing so, his stocks are dropping.
But even if he wins and demolishes him, people will say, well, you did it in the second fight. What do we get from this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we expected that. Thanks for showing us what we expected. Because we literally saw it. There was a reason why there was a rematch the first time around, and you put the story to bed. This isn't like one of these movies you can just run it back because you want to remake it and the crowd are going to be happy for it. This was done. Like, it's done, dusted, sealed, delivered. Like, however an assassin dies, it's done. Chapter's closed. To pull that back from the depths of the burial site you put that in, it's crazy work, man. Like, you was better off just finding another journeyman. I can't even lie.
Like, there's a reason why Anthony Joshua Ruiz 3 hasn't happened. After the second fight, no one needed to see the third fight because Ruiz couldn't get past the jab. We don't want to see that again. So there's no point doing it. And the same thing here. You couldn't get past the jab in the first fight and you're struggling. Cool. The second fight, you completely demolished him. And since then, Arthur hasn't done anything to warrant a third fight. I mean, he got beaten up by Bivol. And like I said, he hasn't done anything. And Yarde himself, he actually pushed it with his career and went to Beterbiev. And since then, we were kind of like, oh, what are you going to do after Beterbiev? And it still hasn't delivered. Like, since Beterbiev, and that was in January 2023, it's over 2 years. He still hasn't delivered a name for us, a fight for us that we think, yeah, that's a really good fight. It's just been random. Lyndon Arthur, random. Kovalev, random. Lyndon Arthur, random. Beterbiev, random. Lyndon Arthur. Like,
so are we going to get a big name now after? Because have we gone through the cycle of randoms, including Arthur, that now says, okay, we're ready for the next big step up?
But where do you go? Like, if you're going to keep fighting randoms, then what's the point? Just retire. Like,
the next step is he's going to tell us how well he fought in a Beterbiev fight and how much he deserves a rematch. That's going to be the, because that just seems to be like the topic of conversation every single time. It's always like, I was ahead on scorecards, I gave him his toughest fight, I reckon I can beat him the next time. And then it's like, he fights like a random journeyman, and then it's we're in negotiations to fight X, Y, and Z. It falls through, and then it's gonna be someone like, I don't know, Willie Hutchinson or whatever. And it's just like we're approaching the stage where like he's 32, 33. Like realistically, like the window of like top fights he has isn't that big. Like and the expiry date of the top fights that are sort of like cooking is like slipping away. So I think the next opponents he's got to pick has to be sort of like has to be world level. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't keep on going through like sort of like the cycle of journeyman and then sort of like washed like damaged goods. Like he needs to deliver.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's disappointing when the fight got announced because I'm just thinking there's so many other guys that, even if he fought Dan Aziz, I can't complain. Fair enough. Like, it's not a better level opponent, but at least it's not Lyndon Arthur again. Or if he fought, a Craig Richards, for example, fair enough. This is just replaying the same track.
Like, I don't know, maybe like a Joe Smith Jr. or something. That's
something different.
Like, you know what I mean? That's something reputable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or I don't know. I was gonna say John Pascal, but he's washed now. But just some.
He's fine for cruiserweight title.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
He's
okay, cool. But just someone like credible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Chris, excited for the trilogy?
Yeah, man. I'm ecstatic for it, man. Hopefully we can get fireworks and shock result. Nah, not really. I see Yard as all wrong for Lyndon Arthur. This is the thing. Yard already blasted him out in the last fight. Like you lot said, he's only going to look worse because the probability is that Lyndon Arthur will do better than the second time round, which is gonna make Yard look like he's regressed, which isn't the best the best advertisement for the Buatsi fight. I get he needs to go out. He needs to go out and fight. He needs someone who's game, who's ready to step in. I don't know whether they had discussions with different fighters. I understand there's a level of fighter that they want him to fight. They want him to fight someone who will work him, but who doesn't have the ability to beat him. And that's just so they can make the next fight. There's obviously been stumbling blocks all throughout this whole business, this Buatsi Yard nonsense. But I think it's just one of those things. We just have to accept the fight as it is. He's out there. He probably wants to stay active. What was his last fight? He fought can't remember the guy's name. Yeah,
Vilkans on a boxer card.
Yeah, it didn't look good. But yeah, ultimately, I think it's just one of those fights. We're just gonna have to accept it and move on and hope that the next fight that's announced is Yard Buatsi. If that fight isn't announced, this fight is gonna look 10 times worse than it already does.
Do you think Buatsi will take that fight coming for a loss?
A bit more incentive to, isn't it?
I don't know what Buatsi does. What else does he do? Is he gonna go and fight a weak opponent? Is he gonna go for a rematch and potentially lose again? I think, in my opinion, the best fight for Buatsi is Yard.
Yeah.
Anyone else is either gonna be not good enough, not worth the like. I'm even trying to think of names. I can't think of anyone that I'm thinking Buatsi should go and beat and get another win. They both need to fight now. I feel like, for example, if Yard lost his last fight, but they managed to get the fight done on time, I feel like he would have taken it regardless. But I feel like he's taking this in the Arthur fight just to stay active.
Yeah.
He hasn't had much work. Yeah. if it doesn't happen, or if we don't get Yard fighting Bivol, then yeah, it's just a mess.
I mean,
personally, I feel like if Yard and Waxy doesn't get done soon, this is like the crossroad where I think this is going to be the final crossroad where it needs to get done, or just forget about it, full stop. Because
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. It's like it's the same thing with Brooke Khan. Okay, we had it, but let's be real. Brooke Khan lost its edge when it happened, flipping almost a whole decade after it should have. AJ Wilder, we still want to see it, but we're not clamoring for it. No one is advocating for that fight anymore. No one really cares if it happens or not. AJ Fury, it's lost its touch. Again, no one's really advocating for that fight. No one really cares. Like they even talk about it in, when it comes to the normal IFL interviews when they give sound bites and whatnot, but no one cares. It doesn't get the headlines. And Yard Buatsi is the same way. You don't make it this year, cool. No one's gonna give a crap. Like, you do your thing, but that's the one fight you deprived us on. We don't care anymore. There's a, like you say, expiry date on all of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, let's just see. I mean, I know when I'm gonna time my toilet break during this whole event, so it's gonna that'll be fun. Ra says hot take. We all agree that Yard wins, and his hot take is he thinks Arthur wins on points because he says Arthur's style ages better than Yard's. Based on his last performance, I think we've seen the best of him. I just think Arthur's too lax with his career. I think Arthur does not really care to push the gas a lot in his career. He's not going to go hell for leather, and I think against a guy like Yard, when he does go hell for leather and he puts his shots together, it's hard to take, and he's going to get stopped. With
Arthur, he's shown us that he loses mentally way before he's even got in the ring. He was prepared to lose that fight against Yard from a long time ago, from when he signed it. He was complaining so much before in the build-up about different reasons, about different obstacles and so forth. He just sounded like essentially he's here for the payday, and he doesn't think he's winning. He knows that obviously Yard's got a bit of a chip in his shoulder, and I think to a degree he kind of probably felt like he got away with it in the first fight, and he knew that he caught Yard a bit at the right time, so he just didn't seem like he ever really planned to win that fight. And I don't see how he's then gonna switch up and think, oh yeah, I've got something in me that's gonna do something different this fight. So yeah.
I also think as well when I've watched Lyndon Arthur, like he just lacks the spite that you'd expect any boxer to have. Like even with lesser opponents, I always watch him and think, like, there's not enough of like a nastiness about you. There's not enough of like, you don't look like you're on violence. You just look like you're just here to go through the motions and the gears. And I don't think that's going to change. And I don't think that's something like you can teach. I think you either have it or you don't. And like, I just don't see like Arthur doing anything different.
Yeah. It's just a filler fight. I'm sorry, it's a filler fight. It's just filler.
And it's co-main event as well. Well, not co-main event, but like just before the main event. Yeah.
We're just filling the card. That's what it is. It's just filling the card. It's the poorest fight there. So
100%.
You know what, you're right. That's time to make sure you get all your snacks, all your like food, all your food orders have been like loaded by then. Just sort it out then if it hasn't been done.
Take the dog for a walk, read a book. Watch a TV show, do something. Just don't watch the. I gotta say that. Wait, let's move on. I mean, the next fight though is very interesting. These are the type of fights we want to see. Vidal Riley taking on Chev Clark. That's a very interesting fight because Vidal Riley, again, another fighter who's had a lot of backing, lots of backing from Boxer. The next big thing, he's got a big YouTube channel, so they're thinking that they can convert this into star power for him. He's won the English title. I think he's won the British title. Can't remember off the top. Yeah, he won the British title. And Chev Clark is a tough opponent to take on. Chev Clark is heavy-handed puncher. He's decent with his fundamentals. He lost his last fight, got dropped by Mosquera, then lost a competitive fight, and that was for the European title. But still, Chev Clark is kind of around that level. And so there's a big step up for Vidal Riley, and kind of the big checking point to see, are you that guy? Are you really what we think you could become, and can you really take the scene by storm? Chris, what are your thoughts on Vidal Riley, and how do you think he matches up against Chev Clark?
Do you know what? I like Vidal Riley, man. I did have my doubts about him, especially with like the whole YouTube stuff. Wasn't sure his mind was completely focused on boxing. But as limited as Mike Lowell is, Mike Lowell was very, very strong. And I felt like he dealt with him almost like how a boxer deals with a non-boxer who's powerful. Do you know what I mean? He's got great boxing ability, and I'm more interested to see how he deals with Clark than anything else. Because he seems pretty confident. This is the thing. He seems pretty confident. He didn't like. Sometimes you see that there's a bit of like nervous energy or tension. I didn't get none of that from watching Vidal Riley speak about the fight. Like you said, Clark is strong. He hits hard, good fundamentals. He seems like a coach, like a trainer's dream of a fighter. Very disciplined, very muscular. A lot more muscular than Vidal Riley is. So he's going to pose a challenge regardless. But I'm interested to see which way it goes. Vidal doesn't seem to, for me, it doesn't seem to hit very hard, but he seems to do enough to frustrate opponents and to keep them from walking in. He's got great feet and he's got a good boxing IQ. So I'm very interested to see how the fight actually progresses. At the moment, I'd say I'm backing Vidal Riley. At face value, I could see a lot of people just picking Chef Clark, just based on how he's looked in his wins. But I'm gonna go with a boxer. I'm gonna go with a guy who I think is a better boxer in this.
Mark, do you agree?
Yeah, I pretty much echo what Chris is saying. Do you know what? Funny enough, I actually watched Clark's fight last night, and the guy that he fought just looked like he was just like a weight division above. To be fair, and Clark dealt with it well. I'm just curious to see like how Vidal will react if like when faced with adversity. That I think for me that's the biggest question mark. But yeah, I think Vidal got the better fundamentals and he's a better boxer. So I'm gonna side with him.
Yeah. Sams, your thoughts on the Riley Clark fight?
Yeah, not much about what you guys really kind of mentioned, but I do think Clark wins. I don't think Riley is as good as they kind of market him to be. I think he's got a big following, but I don't think he's gonna go that far. Like, if I'll be completely honest. And against Lawal, I was quite shocked actually. I've seen Lawal beating quite comfortably, and then I think I kind of just looked at it like, okay, Lawal's not the guy I thought he was.
Yeah.
But I don't want to discredit Riley in the process of doing that. But he just didn't seem at the races in that fight. So yeah, I'm still gonna kind of ride with it and say yeah, Clark quite comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me this is a 60-40 type of fight where you back one or the other. I think I got Riley winning this. I just think he's going to be on the back foot. He's going to step in when he sees Clark overextending. Clark's ability to cut off the ring isn't great, and the way he comes forward is quite one-dimensional because he relies a lot on his power and his explosiveness to just launch forward. And when he lands, he should be able to land the next punch on top of it. I think he'll have a lot of issues trapping Riley, but I think he'll have moments because Riley's, like Chris said, he's got that confidence where he might try stand at times because he's got that confidence in himself to handle himself inside and just then move off and have those moments. And I think those are going to be quite tricky for Riley to navigate because I think he could get hurt in this fight. But I just don't think Clark is smart enough to finish him. And I think Riley will be able to come through adversity but win a competitive fight. I think it'll be a decision win, but he'll have to come through a lot of adversity to win this fight because Clark will be better at cutting off the ring than Lawal, but he still won't be great at it. So, but it's a good fight. I have to give it to Vidal Riley that this is the fight we want to see him in, and he hasn't messed around with it. He hasn't said, "Oh, give me 10 years and then we'll do this fight down the line." It's no, let's go here, let's do it now. We've done beat Mikhail Lawal for it. Let me take Chef Clark on, and if he passes this with flying colors, then we could have a new British prospect that we're going to have to look out for in terms of where he could go with his career. So this is going to be an interesting one, and it's a big risk boxer taking, but fair enough, they should be taking it. So I'm happy about that. And then the next fight on the card, which is a sleeper, I'm going to go into a bit of detail. Chris Billam-Smith versus Brandon Glanton. Not if you're Team Billam-Smith, this isn't the ideal comeback fight you'd want, especially after taking that battering from Zurdo Ramirez in November. Brandon Glanton is a strong puncher. He's not the smartest puncher, but he can fight, and he's a big, strong puncher with great combinations. And Chris Billam-Smith is also another fighter, a workhorse. He likes to be on the inside. He likes to throw combinations and make it awkward for the other fighter. Chris Billam-Smith usually thrives when the other fighter needs distance and space. Brandon Glanton doesn't need distance and space. Brandon Glanton wants to be up close with you and wants to make it a dogfight. Chris is, I think, 34, and Glanton's 33. But Glanton's been on the come up now recently. And whereas, Billam-Smith's on the back of a dangerous fight from Zurdo, where he did take a lot of shots. He took a lot of shots clean. And Glanton's quite, compact. He'll come forward. He's going to throw to the body and the head. And I wonder, can Billam-Smith really turn it around physically as well to be able to weather that storm and not be affected by it and not get hurt? I actually think a lot of people, especially British people, because obviously they know Billam-Smith, but they don't know who Brandon Glanton is. I think Glanton wins this one. I think this is horrid matchmaking, because you're putting him in with a big puncher who wants to be in close and wants to make it a dogfight. I think it's going to become a dogfight between him and Glanton. I think he could get stopped. There's a possibility. He's never been stopped, CBS, but he could get stopped here. I'm betting. I don't bet, but I'm just saying. I think Glanton wins by decision, and he hurts Billam-Smith, and Billam-Smith just is tough. And they both can work hard for 12 rounds. So I think it's a 10-round fight anyway. So 10 rounds. But I think he's going to struggle, and he's going to lose a lot of rounds, and he's going to get really dragged into a dogfight in this one. So it's going to be fun to watch. It can be really fun to watch between the two. But I just think it's the wrong fight to take for Billam-Smith. Mark, what's your thoughts on that?
Do you know what? Yeah, I haven't seen Glanton fight, but a lot of people are picking him, and I looked at his record over there, and he's got a pretty good stoppage record. And when I watch Chris, I don't think he's defensively responsible. I think he takes a lot of shots, and I think what fight was it? When he fought the Eastern European guy, I think he stopped him.
Oh, Masternak.
Yeah. Chris really, he struggled in that fight as well, and
Masternak caught. Billam-Smith caught alive.
He caught alive, yeah, exactly. And the way Billam-Smith fights, it's just like he gives his opponents more than a fighting chance just because of the way he fights. And I just feel like if you give a puncher a chance, there's more than a chance they're going to take you out. And I think it's been a long time coming. Like, he had his run at being a champion, and credit to him. He got to the top of the mountain, and you can't take that away from him. But I just think now, where he's at that level, where he's fighting sort of fringe world level fighters, elite or top class fighters, you have to be responsible. You have to be defensively tidy, and I just don't think that's him at all. And I do see a scenario where he does get stopped. But yeah, I agree. I think there's a good chance he loses this.
Chris?
Yeah, so I've only seen Glanton fight once, but I think we discussed it prior to the pod, where he looks like he hits really hard. This is the thing. He hits very hard shots. He's not the best quote-unquote boxer. I wouldn't call him slick or anything along those lines, but he hits hard, and Billam-Smith is there to be hit. I'll be so real with you. I don't really rate Billam-Smith like that. I don't, unfortunately. I think he's a decent fighter, but I don't think he's a caliber over like some of these fringe guys, man. I really don't. I don't know which way the fight's going to go because you don't know which version of Billy Smith you're going to get. You know what I mean? The Billy Smith versus Okoli is not the same as the Billy Smith that fought Masterneck. Do you know what I mean? But at their best, I would expect Billy Smith to edge a decision. But realistically, based on what I've seen and some of the damage that he's taken from the Zerudo fight, I could really see him getting dropped or stopped for sure.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Billy Smith for taking a tough fight like this, but his management needs to have a look at themselves because this is a poor fight to take off the back of that. Such a loss. It's gonna be fun to watch though. Like that is gonna explode. They're gonna be at each other in the middle of the ring, trading on the inside, and we're gonna see some big punches being thrown. Just quickly to touch on Liam Smith versus McKenna, and obviously Liam Smith, he kind of needs his swan song. He wants to kind of get that one last payday, which is obviously there's one fight he's only got on his mind, which is a Eubank trilogy. Aaron McKenna, young, 25 years old, Irish fighter. Good, decent, but hasn't really fought anyone. This is a big step up. And Liam Smith, I think I'm trying to see whether or not he's shot or not because he was quite fat when he fought Eubank the second fight.
We used to fat shaming.
He's the one that said he was like 40 pounds over. So I'm not the one that said it. He's the one that said he was 40 pounds over or something before between camps for that fight. I'm just telling the truth. He needs that truth. I mean, he rolled his ankles twice. So like, but I don't think he's shot. I just think physically I do worry because if you do blow up like that in weight, how do your joints and everything kind of work and how physically do you perform in the ring? But I think it'll be a fun fight because McKenna also comes forward in the same way Liam Smith does. Pressure fighters, you're going to get a really explosive fight. I think Liam Smith should win. I don't know about stopping him because it'll be a tough, it's
is that 10 or 12 rounds?
10 rounds. It should be 10 rounds. But McKenna's young and he's unproven as of yet. And obviously it depends on how aged Liam Smith is. We need to see what he gets through. Do we think Liam Smith's past it? Like he can't get past, like he's really shot and that even the Eubank trilogy probably isn't even in the cards for him. Sams, do you think Liam Smith's that shot that he probably won't even get the Eubank trilogy?
I don't think it's that short, but I don't think he gets the trilogy anyway because Eubank wants to go and do other things. Apparently, he's been saying for years he wants the world title shot, so maybe he actually means it this time around.
Well, Canelo.
Yeah. After find the welterweight, and apparently that fight's on the table, isn't it? So that makes sense. If he's just here for the money, this is now a big money fight that aligns with a world title shot. So double up in it, 2 for 1.
Yeah. Chris, do we think we see vintage Liam Smith this week?
Vintage, no. Win, yes.
Mark?
Yeah, Liam Smith win.
I think McKenna will surprise us and he'll do a bit better than most people expect. But I think, Liam Smith should. His experience at least should shine through and should be able to get the win. Stop
I think it's last chance win for Liam Smith anyway. I think if he loses this, he may need to reconsider his options.
He should be considering them anyway, to be honest with you.
He's only doing this just for one thing. He's trying to get that big payday next. That's why Callum Smith fought Joshua Buatsi on the Riyadh season card after the Bet Beer fight. And the same reason why it's just they're at that point where they've given, and to be fair to the Smith brothers, they've given a lot of their years to boxing. So now they're looking for that kind of setting up their family paydays, and I can't knock it at the end of the day that they're not really in any pictures. I mean, Callum Smith could be getting a Benavidez fight, we never know, but Liam Smith is not really any pictures at the moment in terms of title picture or anything like that. So if he wants to chase something, hey, he could fight Conor Benn. That could be one thing he set up. So
we'll probably end up seeing like a Liam Smith Kell Brooks sort of fight. I don't know. Not that anyone wants to see it, but
Kell Brook Bridges.
That's cool.
You're ridiculous.
Strange time.
You're so dumb, bro.
But anyway, please subscribe and like. Thanks for joining us. And again, please subscribe and like. Always in the comments, let us know what you want to listen to, what you want to hear, any things you want us to talk about. But yeah, follow us on Ringside, follow us on Twitter at Ringside Fracas and on Instagram at Ringside Fracas. And please join us in this journey as we keep going through fights every week and reviewing them, the news and previewing fights as well. We also want to hear what you guys think as well. Like today, you guys were popping in the comments. So thank you to everyone that tuned in and was also commenting as well. Enjoy the fights this week. It's going to be a good weekend, especially for British boxing and especially boxing in general. It's going to be fun to watch. Next week's quite packed. I'm trying to sort out how we're going to do that because there are 3 fight cards back to back that we have to preview. Obviously, we've got the review of the Eubank card. We've then got the Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney card on Friday. You then got the Canelo fight on the Saturday, which is the day after, and then you've got the Inoue fight the Sunday, which is the day after. So 3 fights back to back. So I'm going to sort out how I'm going to do that. That's just Turkey's really done us one there, but yeah. Look, enjoy the fights. It's been good. It's getting better, and the sport is in a better state than what it used to be 2 or 3 years ago. So we're enjoying it as it goes along, and join us in this journey, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.